Hello and welcome to Talk Time Anime. My name is Luke and I'm joined by Jordan
Hello.
and Lewis.
Hello.
In today's video, we're going to be talking about One Piece and the potential of an ace return in some way for chapter 1000.
Hell yeah.
So we have a few theories for you today. Just a warning, if you are not up to date, that being chapter 998 at this point of time, then please do not watch this video because there will be spoilers.
Yeah.
With that
Heavy.
said, let's get into it. In chapter 998, Yamato brings Momo to a secret hideaway, and in this room there is a giant golden statue of a dragon depicting Kaido. Yamato explains that this statue was once at the entrance to the island, but her friend destroyed it. This friend being Ace, as shown in the panel. Wano has been hyped up for many years throughout the series, starting, back at Thriller Bark, and even through Ace himself, who we saw had a great relationship with Little Oars Jr., having made a gigantic Kaza hat, which is native to Wano. This was told in chapter 555, as Oars pushes forward desperately in an attempt to save his dear friend. This fact was not forgotten, and upon Luffy's arrival in Wano, one of the first characters he meets is Otama, a poor starving girl who is waiting for the return of her friend. As this development unravels, it becomes evident that Ace spent a fair amount of time on Wano, trying to help as best he could. And now we learn, through Yamato, that he even directly challenged Kaido.
Ace himself was a powerful pirate. We assume that his level was just below that of Katakuri and Marco. Although we should not scale his strength purely based on his bounty, which of course is only half of, say, Katakuri's, because Ace's confirmed bounty was to be 550 mil and Katakuri's was 1 billion. But we must remember that life under the protection of the Whitebeard fleet, was much better than, say, under the protection of Big Mums, as further emphasised by Jinbei in chapter 529 in Impelled Down, and then further spoiled in 645 in Fishman Island, where they can basically reveal that Whitebeard was good friends with King Neptune, and that life under the Whitebeard fleet at that point was much easier for Fishman Island. Most of all, though, as we can clearly see from Ace's general personality in the main series, even before joining Whitebeard as a superstar rookie, it's likely he acted in a similar way to as we see with Luffy now. Ace has well and truly been given a new life in the series as of late, though. On top of the mentions here in Wano, we've also had the release of the Ace light novel, which is amazing, by the way. We definitely recommend it. We actually recommended it on the first episode of our philosophical podcast that we've done, so feel free to check that out. Couldn't stop praising it. The second volume's just come out as well around here, so looking forward to being able to read that. And also, there's a slight spoiler we're going to mention from the Ace novel, so if you haven't read it and you're planning to, then skip ahead about 20 seconds. So the spoiler is basically that Ace had learnt Haki before officially entering a new world, and entered Wano before joining the Whitebeard's crew, as part of his ambition was to defeat all 4 of the Emperors. Despite his newly acquired Haki and immensely powerful Devil Fruit, Ace was not strong enough to achieve his goal, eventually finding a place to call home on Whitebeard's crew. I'm sure Ace did intend to one day return to Wano, if not for his priority to kill Blackbeard. Furthermore, in the latest One Piece film Stampede, we saw a glimpse of Ace as a spectre paralleling Sabo. Was this foreshadowing for what is to come in Wano? We shall see.
So let us start off with the most logical and reasonable theory, an Ace flashback. As previously mentioned, an Ace flashback has been highly anticipated ever since the introduction of Otama. This was further fueled in our introduction to Yamato. Both characters have had lengthy interaction with Ace before, referring to him as a very good friend. So let's talk about how that could potentially go down. Having seen the living conditions of those in Otama's village and recovered from his crash landing, Ace is more fired up than ever to take out one of the 4 emperors. He heads further inland. We know that Yamato was shackled with the explosive cuffs after meeting Ace, seen in chapter 985. Therefore, we can assume that Ace either bumped into her on the mainland as she was attempting to escape the island, or headed straight for Onagashima. meeting her before challenging Kaido, and potentially had a small confrontation before eventually both tiring and preferring to chat. During this chat, they must have deeply bonded over their similarities as unloved children, the kids of men who are hated, and kids who are deemed guilty of great crimes for just being born. Perhaps it was after this fight and conversation with Yamato that Ace realized he was not strong enough to beat Kaido with his small crew, instead settling for the destruction of his monument. Once again, Ace promising to one day return once he was stronger to beat Kaido, liberate Wano, and welcome both Yamato and Otama into his crew.
With this, the flashback will end, and before the end of the chapter we might switch back to Luffy, who finally stands before Kaido, as Ace stood before his statue. In this moment, we might even get the reveal of Luffy's 5th gear, potentially a full-body Red Hawk type form. He would be Ace incarnate. Luffy his brother, Ace's legacy, a promise kept even in death. A bittersweet sacrifice finally brought full circle. My image for this panel would likely imitate the scene of Sabo and Ace in Stampede, as previously mentioned.
I'd cry.
Now that you're all sad at the thought of this, let's move on to some crazy and wild theories for Ace's full return in chapter 1000. And what I mean by this is he's alive.
Here we go.
In our spare time, we all like to joke about our favourite series, even the sad stuff. None of us really take it that seriously, but one day the three of us formulated this crazy Ace theory that we definitely know isn't going to happen, but it's still funny to talk about. If that wasn't clear enough, this is your official disclaimer. None of us believe this theory personally, but for the sake of entertainment and clickbait, we've decided to share it.
Yeah.
Speak.
Oh yeah, so yeah, as he said, none of us really believe it, but we started this crazy theory before, and we never thought, it would ever come into fruition. But with the latest chapter and stuff, it all kind of just popped back in our heads, and we're like, wait, did we go Oda crazy? When Otama got introduced and Ace said it's a promise, this sent the fanbase a bit crazy with quotes such as Ace promised to come back, he's alive with his devil fruit awakened madness. I mean, none of us really expected it, but we did decide to take this idea a bit deeper. So, how could have Ace survived? A devil fruit awakening is not out of the ordinary for shonen. But Oda did his best to kill that thinking off in Dressrosa when Sabo took on his devil fruit, because that basically made it impossible for Ace to still be alive if his devil fruit is with Sabo. But this is where we put our tinfoil hats on. First, we have to assume that the theory that Dr. Vegapunk is secretly a good person, working for the Revolutionary Army, in the guise of the world government, is true. For those that don't know about that theory, it's simply based on the assumption that Bartholomew's final act of separating the Straw Hat crew and protecting the ship before going full pacifista was an order given to him by Vegapunk, who, as we know for a fact, held loyalty to the Revolutionary Army already.
So with the assumption that Vegapunk is a good guy, and Shanks was able to retrieve Whitebeard's and Ace's body from the Marines, who knows what or if Shanks even buried them. Perhaps knowing of Ace and Luffy's relationship, Shanks gave Ace to Vegapunk, who was able to save them, just like Luffy had with Law. Now we can answer the mystery of the Devil Fruit. Well, in the New World, one of the first developments in the build-up to Wano was the concept of artificial Devil Fruits at Caesar's lab on Punk Hazard. What if, like everything else Caesar tried to accomplish, Vegapunk had already perfected this experiment and created a replica flame fruit, which Doflamingo would later acquire through his black market connection?
If all of this is true, that could potentially mean that Ace is still alive somewhere with Vegapunk. Sabo would have a replica flame fruit, and Luffy would potentially have a 5th gear of a full body Red Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
This would create the ultimate trio of brothers, all born in fire. Crazy theory concluded. Now let's get to some more of the more likely scenarios aside from Ace. As we know with Oda, he likes to mark landmark chapters with big reveals.
Yes.
For instance, the reveal of Roger's first mate, Rayleigh, in chapter 500.
Yeah.
One possible reveal this could be is, as mentioned, Vegapunk finally exposes himself as an ally of the Straw Hats. Alternatively, we could have a completely different character, such as a legendary pirate, Rox the Exbec. Perhaps the man who once held Kaido, Big Mum and Whitebeard under his wing, although beaten to the title of Pirate King by Gold D. Roger, settled for becoming the king of the world as a leader of the government. This in turn would also almost certainly confirm the theories that Shanks is his son, once saved by Gold D. Roger after his defeat, and also possesses the will of the D. This could either be done through the reveal of Rox in Wano, or the arrival of Shanks on Wano to help Luffy defeat Kaido and Big Mom, since they're two emperors versus two emperors. With all of that said, we'd like to know who you think might turn up in Wano, or any crazy alternative Ace theories you have. If you enjoyed this video, let us know by leaving a like, subscribe for future content like this, as well as reactions to anime and our philosophical podcast. Thank you for listening. Peace.